especially a nation like ours, Uganda. A very good morning, sir. Many thanks for joining us.
Oh, good morning, my colleague.
How are you today?
Quite okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.
Okay. Looking at, youth involvement generally, when you look at the role of, the youth in today's society, how important has it been, or how important is it?
I want to really thank UBC management. Thank you for giving us this opportunity, especially the right think tanks and experts on the issues of young people. I've been a youth mentor for the last 25 years, and it's the job that I've done as a Global Peace Ambassador in the country, but also working in more than 21 countries, meeting ministers of youth, working with youth innovators and entrepreneurs, meeting the United Nations influencers at the United Nations headquarters, World Bank, and startups and really it has given me opportunity to mentor the young people. Young people do not have enough mentors today because of one or two, three challenges. According to the United Nations Youth Charter, who is a youth according to the charter is a person who is between 18 years up to 30 years. But the African Union Youth Charter is defining the youth to be from 18 to 35. And as you have asked, these are young people who spend 90% of their time in school, in education throughout, up to the university. Most of them graduate at 22 years, others 30 years. So they have spent all their time in school. And for purpose of this debate, they also have spent the 10% at home. But 15 years ago, you realize we spent half-half, because boarding schools were not there so much like today. So we would be at school, but then we go back home. So the narrative of their shaping is at school. But what is the school cooking for them? So that has been a conversation to many consultants. So they are right now faced with issues of youth unemployment. But you have given us a synopsis of the majority of the world's population are young people. And majority of these, 90% of them are in Africa.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Are they in Africa? While Japan and South Africa are going into regressive population growth. South Africa's population is going into the old age. They have very few young people. You can imagine? So, and this is on record that possibly in the next 30 years, South Korea is going to suffer from extinction. The president of South Korea recently in his speech actually mentioned about his worry that young people, please marry when after school, please marry, start families, girls get married. So, because they are having a huge population in the old age, including Japan. So the population of Africa, young people, they are below 25 years. Uganda is actually hitting the rock, is the world champion in having the biggest population of young people, whose population, a majority of it is young people, at 75%. Now, what is the role of that demographic? For the first time in history, Uganda has had a consistent 10-year opportunity of having young people of that magnitude. 78% of their population actually hit 83% of the recent statistics. Oh my God, this may never be the same, maybe in the next 10 years. So you have asked what is the role of this huge population. The huge population that we have must be the biggest gold, not even the oil, and not even the diamonds. That is our richest and most precious resource, natural resource God has given us. They have a role to stabilize our economy. They have a role to protect our environment. They have a role to make sure that they demonstrate our cultural African traditional values so that the rest of the world defines us as a people who are ethical.
Well, Milton, one would wonder, what forced you, or what motivated you, what inspired you to join this cause of, trying to speak for the youth, to inspire the youth? What was the motivation behind this?
First and foremost, I understood that Uganda's future is not in the elders, people who have 80 years. They have done their work. The future of the country If young people are well nurtured and we invest all our resources, all our energy and focus and policy drives, budget frameworks, our everything, our talent development, all of us, everything in the young people. I just was motivated that for the first time with this wealth of young people, then Uganda's future is going to be politically stable, it's going to be peaceful, it's going to be economically transformed, but most importantly, Uganda is going to lead in the areas of agriculture, of technology, of value addition, and self-reliance and independence. So the rest of the world do not have what we have. These young people can lead Uganda even into the integration process of all the African countries.
Speaking peace building, what do you think is the role of the young people in peace building generally? Because, you know, as much as we are calling for youth involvement in everything, peace is very fundamental, very vital. In countries where wars or conflicts are arising each other day, people are dying. No one wishes to go and settle in those countries. Ours here, on the other hand, which you would definitely say, a very peaceful country. What is the role of the youth in your own perspective or in your view in regards to peace building?
The role of the youth here is very strategic because they are the nation. We can no longer say Uganda. Uganda is the young people. You young people who are listening to me right now, watching this TV broadcast, please just know that you are the Uganda. Not of tomorrow, of today. Now, in the role of peace building space, is that you have a role to make sure that regardless of religion, regardless of political parties, regardless of tribe, or even regardless of your economic status or, you know, those things that have been dividing the country, especially the old generation, these young people have a role to show to the country, to demonstrate to the country that for you, your generation is above and has transcended those things that have divided this country. All the years behind, we have been concentrating on wars of tribalism. Can you imagine? Tribalism, religious intolerance. So the role of young people is to really show to Uganda that for you, Mulikumulamwa, you are not going to be divided along those areas I've talked about. That you are ready to unite as one family, one Ugandan family, ready to work together. The Muchiga is working with the Munyankore, Munyankore is working with the Muganda, Muganda with the Northerner from Karamoja, from Arua, the Musogi is working with the Mukonjo. You are working together. The Muslim and the Christian, you are all together, opening companies together. You are trusting each other with the resources. You are in a circle and trusting each other. You are lifting each other. That unity in diversity is power. Then the elders will now say, okay, they are united. Then they will even say, we don't need to now say we want a district based on a tribe. Can you imagine the conversation in the parliament?
Yes.
Uganda is still constructing districts, politics around tribalism. Now you expect to have a law that is actually inclusive. How? It cannot happen because the construct of Uganda's politics is around those challenges, those bottlenecks, definitely which kept Africa in the dark. So the role of young people is to demonstrate unique character, national character, that for you have transcended what divides the country, but what unites the country, especially on innovation. When you are united, then you have opportunity to build the cars that will transport everybody. You are able to open churches for everybody, not having churches for a certain tribe. You are able, as young people, to build political parties that impress all tribes, all religions, everybody, even the African agenda.
Milton,
that's
looking
the
at how we can empower the young people, the only issue has always been empowering the young people, especially placing them in leadership roles where they are going to lead conversations of peace building and the country's transformation. How are we going to put these young people in these positions? How then are we going to start having these serious conversations of having young people in policy-making offices, young people involving directly in decision-making especially for things that directly affect them?
First, you cannot deploy young people before you actually mentor them. You have to make sure from the parents, the source of the best, because we have to talk about a young person. Someone can be 70 years, but is youthful in the mind. That construct, I wrote about it, and is being discussed in many circles around the world. But here we are talking about a young person below the 30 years, 35 years, 18 years. In that bracket, we must do deliberate and intentional programming as a country, that the parents have a unique toolkit, parenting skills development by the nation Uganda, Ministry of Gender, where are you? So that we have possibilities of every parent having those skills, the mother and the father are all working towards nurturing children of good character. Because the schools are not nurturing values, as you know. They are nurturing mathematics, engineers, biology, but they are producing engineers who are corrupt. So the country does not want such kind of leaders. So the young people, the parents take the first responsibility. Now, to the type of curriculum, the type of education instruction, the pedagogy, what are they learning? Are they learning good values, guiding learning, guiding technology, guiding innovation, guiding the agriculture that they are learning? So that now here we are talking about a young person who's holistic development. And with whole of society approach where the religious leaders, the kings, the parents, the government, they're all working towards supporting schools. And so children are able to learn how to create jobs, how to lead. Now when we are talking about a conversation of how to deploy them, because government has no time to nurture, the only way to do it is by putting a Ministry of Education to develop them. But the Ministry of Education is no longer effective without whole of society approach. Now, when we talk about young people being deployed, we have to accept the elders, to really accept the young people, that we in those offices, because those people who were there before were willing to give us those offices, and now you are 80 years. So accept in the government that the young people must be impressed willingly, not by force, not by tear gas. You know, young people in Africa have to first strike. They must first really say, get out of the offices.
This is what we want. But then, you know, Milton, someone will further ask,
yes, sir,
what opportunities are available?
Oh, okay, that's very good.
You know, as much as we're saying, we need the young people in these
yes,
places. We need them there.
Yes.
We want them in parliament, we want them in government offices, or we want them to come out. Every time government is having an initiative, we should have a youth representative today. But what opportunities are available? You
see, government of Uganda has set up very good opportunities for young people. But these opportunities have not been fully exhausted. Why? Because as per the Inter-University Council of East Africa, the Inter-University Council of East Africa recently published a report saying that 63% of the graduates from Uganda are half-baked, so they are not employable. With that kind of report indicates that they cannot effectively tap into the opportunities that both the private sector and the government has put in place. So here we are talking about the whole leadership infrastructure of Uganda is all there to be explored by young people. But have they? Because here we are talking about young people who are taking drugs, who are taking injaga, who are not transparent. After voting them in parliament, these are the same young people who want to turn parliament into a saloon, into a gym. You understand? They never go back to associate with the people that voted them in power. Now here we are talking about a young population which is not good at creating jobs. Can you imagine? And they think the Muindi from India will give them a job. The Chinese, the American. They forget that great nations are built by young people. The companies, the initiatives they bring of making these chairs, of making the shoes, of making clothes, of constructing and building cars, that's where the young people, those are the spaces of young people to be able to deploy themselves. But here we are talking about even politics. The only way we can deploy young people is into these strikes. Can you imagine? Then we tear gas them. Then another space is to be misused during politics, because the young people need to vote us. Then we give them some small kintu kidogo. Deployment of young people in corruption. Can you imagine? Corruption. Young people are deployed in cutting trees. The Mugaga has 5 square miles of land. He has allied the people, you know, he's a serious investor. Now young people are used to destroy trees. They are the ones in the swamps. Now, the deployment of young people need mentorship. Young people need mentorship. And without mentorship, I think this should go to His Excellency the President, whom I respect so much here, is that we need now to take what we call a renaissance, a construct, the African civilization, the African renaissance, that young people used to learn from their fathers, from the elders. The whole community is the one that nurtured young people. So at my age, I have PhDs of being canned in communities for not drinking. Anybody in the community is responsible for you. Even if you in another district, they say, who's this one? Oh, drinking. They can you, they don't even ask, are you called Baruku, which tribe? Anybody, you call him mother, you call him father. So the construct of reimagining and rebooting the purpose of young people in our country has to be based on our unique unity, that unity of that everybody above 35 years, you are or when you in a taxi, you have a role to nurture a younger person. Now here we are raping our girls. Okay, we have a young population, televisions are now
you mentioned something about rap and everything, and
yes.
This brings me to the protection. As much as we are talking about peace building, protection of human rights, very fundamental.
Very fundamental
globally.
For children.
And when you look at the young people today, many are not protected from the people who are supposed to protect them, the elderly. These are the people who they look up to,
yes,
in most cases. And believe it or not, as a young person, I've encountered quite a number of issues or challenges dealing with people way older than I am.
Yes.
At times there's an element of being undermined, there's an element of being segregated or discriminated. But most importantly, there's that element of, disrespect.
Yes.
One would wonder, how are we going to protect the young people where they are in spaces that they are competing with those way older than them?
You have brought it well, and here I want to share this with our viewers. You cannot give what you don't have. Those people that survived on colonial education, it was meant to keep Africans dull, lazy, divided, diseased, and poor completely with object poverty. Now to uproot that, because you are talking about a generation that has, for the last 600 years, is there. Can you imagine? And it has put Africa to be the target of just a center for raw materials to Germany, to Britain, to America, to China now. Now, that kind of generation, you don't expect really total transformation, even to make a decision and say, these borders should get out. It's hard. Everybody with his Uganda, with my Rwanda, my Kenya, and they have strong enemies now protecting Uganda. Uganda is like a sitting room. Can you imagine? Another Kenya is like a bedroom. Someone puts up a strong army to protect. But these colonialists, they look at us as looting sites. Now, to make it possible for young people get out of that kind of, it is like a magnet, that kind of magma, that kind of a wave, because their parents, the religion, the type of religious systems, the political systems, they cannot even allow the young person to breathe. Do you remember Floyd, I can't breathe? Young people cannot breathe because they cannot dream. If they dream, they are tortured, they are beaten. If they even make Covidex, they say that Covidex, World Health Organization will come for you. If a young person makes a car, oh my God, they will arrest the guy and take him to Luzira. Now, the young people are suffocated, even to think, even to dream. Can you imagine? So you are saying, you are blaming them for the problem they didn't cause. Now the solution is, we must somehow, deliberately, because this is the time, if you are 70 years, at 90 years, you should be working for one thing. when I go, how will the people, the generation behind me live? But here we have all the people abatagala abana abavubuka tebatwagala. Balabanga uli mu office yemu, they want to protect their job. Why? Akana ko kaino lugezigezi nga bakugoba. Oba you were working here nga bakuteka guru, oba you are a civil servant. If you are talented, the one who is talented is always on disciplinary committee. Are you not aware that I'm the boss here? So the younger people are suffocated that they cannot even take ownership of the future of Uganda by creating innovations. Because everything they want to put is like criminal. Even to think, even to make a mistake is a criminal. You know, you have countries grow by making mistakes. Young people have an opportunity to craft a car to compete with a Mercedes. But here you expect a younger person to create a Mercedes E-Class like the one of German. But they forget that a Mercedes has passed in 2 processes of 100 phases to reach where it is.
And on that point,
so,
Milton, sorry to cut you short, on that
yes,
point
please.
of, Mercedes brings me to the world of innovation and technology.
Exactly, sir.
The young people are actively within this today because this is where the world is moving.
Exactly.
Technology, ICT, innovation, this is where the entire world is going. Electronic mobility in regards to the vehicles and everything that is being produced today is speaking technology, innovation. And the young people are way above those older than them. Because this is their generation.
Exactly.
I am forced to believe. This is our generation.
Yes.
So how can we kind of leverage technology and innovation so that the young people can fit in directly and then see that they spur the economic growth and the social development of our country today?
Apart from stealing, this is the looting. They have been looting our natural resources, but they're also stealing our top notch. You understand? Okay. If right now you make an engine, they will not allow you to be in Uganda. They will give you citizenship and fly you sway.
You know, when you mention they, my question is which people? Who are we talking about?
I'm talking about the West.
Okay.
I'm talking about the West here. I don't have any sweet words on them. Yes, the global South has worked tremendously to build the global North. Now it is time to think about ourselves now, as you're asking. Now, when we're talking about technology, which technology? I must tell you, before Jesus was born, Africa was technologically very fun. If we did not have colonialism and slavery, these things, I think right now Africa would be the superpower in the economy and in the technological spaces. But the issue is that we were able to build the pyramid. Do you remember the pyramid, sir?
In Egypt.
In Egypt. There was mathematics on that pyramid. There was architecture. There was technical drawing. There was, when you look at that, look at Tumbukutu, the science of actually lighting rods, light the energy. We had ministers of even in space, Mars, in Ethiopia. Now, younger people, apart from using the phone, we have to graduate Banangi. We have to graduate from learning, getting degrees how to use the phone. And here, pesa you can call it. This is what you are talking about. But to the capacity to manufacture these technologies ourselves, so that the West can also start buying from us. Because a phone, to become a phone, iPhone you have, is a phone because of African resources from Congo there. So how can we be fools, Africans? We have over 400 million young people out of the 1.1 billion people around the globe that are in Africa. They are all in this education system. But when they get out, they don't come out with skills to actually do what you're talking about. You're talking about startups. But what type of startups? You're talking about startups on how to use the phone, not to make the phone and the software in them. That requires that then African leaders must come up with a unique investment portfolio and put up satellite. Yes, that is number one. Because the younger people need enablers to create the technology of their own. But here you are still depending on www.com. Without, so who owns .com? Who owns that chibanja? You are making a call, hello, who owns that airtime? So African leaders are sleeping. We have wrong people in these offices. Apart from 7, who's now trying to unite here. But the conversation has to go radical and say, hey, our young people need a great future. We have gotten out of the road, yes, by being in these coups and dictatorial, whatever. But the thing is, what can we leave for the young people is by creating a space. For them up there, a chirongoti, bachite chirongoti sibu no bolongoti bono, investor has come. No, young me and you sitting and creating a satellite, our own African satellite, consuming our own minerals. So that then the young people can be on their internet that no American or British can control. Kumanga, if you create an innovation, they are going to say, hey, what are you doing? You a terrorist. You man, you a terrorist. But for them, they are busy taking our minerals from Niger to build nuclear bombs in France. Are you understanding that? Then when they now have, whoever has more nuclear bombs becomes a member of the United Nations Security Council. Where is Africa? Are you thinking?
Let's get
so
back home
let me conclude this. Just small time. Is that younger people, you have unlimited potential. I want you to become radical in a positive way, not to overthrowing government. Or concentrate on uniting yourselves and start building cars, everything that we have been importing. Start a journey of saying by 2040, Uganda should not depend on any import. Uganda should be the one with the strongest capacity to donate to those countries with problems, without food. We have land. Look at the land we have. But you hear a younger man, I am hungry. 5 acres in the village.
Milton, you know, when you mentioned about the young people stepping up and fighting for their own rights, I have a comment coming in from Gudoi Sam from Bale, who says that the young people should leave peer groups and try to empower themselves and leave being dependent, and also the campaign what they don't know. He says that going to trading centers in the morning, we have nothing to do as young people to empower the nation. But there is an element of laxity by some of the young people today.
Yes.
As much as we are talking about how the young people need to step up and gear up for the opportunities, but on a scale, at times it's laxity. Secondly, some of them lack some capital, because you're going to have a starting point, especially if you want to come up with a business. Others are underprivileged. They do not have the land that you've put in your submission earlier. So how are we going to have a spirit of encouraging these young people? Why I want us to come back home now to have a serious conversation and stop throwing the blame onto the West a couple of times. What are we doing as society today to empower the young people?
Now that means local driven initiatives. And now we are talking about each village having an incubation center for young people to be able to come together. Because you are talking about coming to the town. They have to come to the town. Things happen because people meet. The old people in a long time, they used to put up the fire center for children, for the youth, the married, the elders. Now you want younger people not to meet. Okay, you be with your son in your home there. You will see. He will turn into a lion and he will kick you out of that home. We have to turn their bedrooms into incubation centers. We must allow them to meet their colleagues at the city center there, in that community center. But what are they doing? Are they on Mairunji? If we don't give them an alternative dream, vision, that it is possible to be a billionaire, that you can be an innovator, you can be even better than Bill Gates, that you can be the answer to African problems. Now it means we will fail. Younger people become what they see, what they hear, what they see, all that. But thinking that younger people will become something because they will, those people, great people, had mentors. That's where I had to start from. But also younger people, early morning, you start drinking. Tanking, actually, these days they are no longer drinking. Don't even mislead the community. The younger people of Uganda is the number one in drinking, tanking.
That's not a good report.
That's a good report for the colonialists. They say, hey, the dose was good.
In the selling of alcohol, because they know the market is there.
Who owns these tanking centers? I am from Kasese. We are the ones who made this Uganda Waraj. I have never been drunk. Because the people, our elders, our parents used to regulate it. Omuntu onywa di ate how to mess yourself up. Uganda is number 1 in drinking, and that makes the colonial master happy. Now you hear Uganda has a debt burden of 10 trillion. It means that those 10 trillion is because you are in the bars just drinking. Look today, Man U, Arsenal. How do you spend your money even betting, even when you have no product on the market? They are taking even capital. You're talking about capital. We don't have the word capital in innovation. Your head is the capital. Now, younger people, I beg you, those of you who are listening to me, that all the people you admire to be had to hide themselves and initiate and work day and night, like how a plant grows in the 2 opposite directions. The roots have to go down and then have the capacity to grow the stem up and the leaves and the mangoes we eat. But here you're a younger man, you want oyagala nnyo kweraga nti oli wakabi naye tulina mirandira. Take time to reflect about your character. Character has influence on who you are going to become, so that people trust you. But if you are the person known around the village, into Gurimubi, Yego Murimba, Yegwe Muyaye, no one is going to sit with you. Bagenda kuwanoli wakabi kubanga yegwa akuba bakazi, yegwa wamba abana, yegwe mubi wo ku kyalo. Tuyagala kusoma. Your future is dead on the issue of character. Then when it comes to creativity, all the rich people are what they are because of character and creativity. Turning the problems in the community to become your asset. You solve the problem, get paid. You solve the problem, get paid. And if you don't work, you don't what? You don't eat. So identify a national problem, solve it, start it today. Start tandi kwa of innovating solutions. Then people will invest in you. You will come up with an idea of registering a company. That company will start getting contracts. After the contract, you start counting billions. By 25 years, you're a billionaire. And your children will all be rich. And the Uganda will be transformed. Now you are the younger person here. Every village is saying, everyone is saying, Tetuina mazi. And the Muyindi or the Chinese man is the one bringing these bottles. He's getting the money.
Let's talk about.
But let me finish this project. The project of like water harvest. You can start a project in your community. 20 younger people, you start harvesting water and you start distributing it. And every home, every month is paying 1,000 shillings. Are you seeing how you are now an innovator who fixes people's problems, but you're already paid? Come for your statement.
Let me take you to the harsh reality.
Yes, please.
Today, many young people who have the opportunity to work and strive to serve their communities and the like, end up having the end product, or end up yearning for the end product.
Yes,
and the end product I'm talking about here is the money.
Exactly.
You're not working for free, really. You have to receive something at the end of the day. A paycheck has to be signed for you. You want to receive money. But there is an under-appreciation syndrome in our society today. People are paying less for more effort. And by the time the young person is done with, with rendering service or being part of the production process, they are tired of even adding value to their lives or adding value to their community, because they felt at the initial stages of their get-go on their careers was never appreciated. Does the community also make it really hard, or does the work environment, or does the business world make it even difficult for people, or for the young people to benefit from their struggles?
My brother, abavubuka banyoma.
Okay.
The problem is not what you're saying. Abavubuka bagala nnyo kwagala banyoma. They undermine jobs. They think they will be billionaires in one day. They wake up and say, because banywa n'enjaga. Enjaga eno. They are doing abalaba masturbation. By name is abana abano. Now, they even have groups that mislead them. They don't know the process. Kati anywa kayaga kenagamba na bwamalo katekako. Now he starts. I am the boss, I am the king. Manyi bamaze nokubayita his excellency. Nga tebana bakugenda mu state house, someone is already his excellency. How do you think that person is going to walk and behave? Now, the thing is, that myopic nzenzita pamplonxic disease, okwefuula kyotali atuve ku kino kya okwefuula kyotali mu mateeka oba mukiyita waliwo engeri calling bakiyita batya waliwo actually it is 5 years in prison 5 years. Abavubuka bano tebamanyi what it takes to become successful. Being successful or becoming successful means you have mastered something and you have to offer something to the country. First of all, you are the person gwe batuma osoka kusaba 10 okuva mu buto. Tata ontumye ko town oyina kusoka nompayo 10 kyange. Can you imagine? You don't want to volunteer? Can you imagine? You don't want to. That's why, my brother, we have to put up a national youth service. Bano bavubuka balina malala basoke bagende eri basoke babanyorose bavemu amalala bategere nti volunteering is very critical, living for the sake of others, donating, sharing, you know, obuntu omutima gw'obuntu. How do you build a country? Abaana bo population yo togitaddemu omutima gwa patriotism.
I have a comment here that is very important.
Okay.
I would wish to put it across, though this viewer didn't leave the name. This one says, we've been brainwashed to think and believe in everything the white man has done to our society. Even the religion we follow, and we are made to believe that the university is the only education that we need, and so over duty, so we tend to ignore duty over non-quality education. Technology is only for street discussion, and there is fear for implementation. We don't know our past nor what we are created for. Corruption is all over, including bishops and all places of worship. Please start by changing yourself by doing the right thing.
Exactly.
Now, you know, the viewer didn't leave the comment, but it makes something.
It makes sense.
It makes sense.
It's going to the core.
You know, there is something I wanted to understand here. He mentioned, or she mentioned, something to do with our culture, that we do not know where we are coming from as Ugandans or the young people. So that means it's going to be very difficult to know where we are heading.
Byoyogedde byonna. Omusingi is all about to uproot the disease, the cancer. Kubanga bavubuka, you can have this plenty of children, younger people, you even produce. Uganda is like producing. Now the thing is, we can produce, we can have younger people, we can have schools, but uprooting the scars and legacies of colonialism so that churches and mosques are not dividing the population, but uniting Africans towards an agenda of going to heaven. Not saying, Chitwale wakagawade, without working, free food ended in that desert where God was throwing food on the people. God said, go and work. Now, the younger people that we are discussing today, we blame them all the time. Colleagues, I want to tell you, my young people, you can make it. You are a champion. But first and foremost, walk in good character so that your name is not just Baruku, but they say, Baruku, a man who's self-reliant, a man who's transparent, a man who loves his country. Then too, you are not by name a younger person. What problems are you solving? Because by 50 years, 80 years, which problems are you going to solve? At the age of 18, research from UNICEF has revealed that young people are curious, creative, innovative. Now you want to first become a Mukadi. But research is guiding us. So all problems of the world are fixed by young people. So what are you doing, younger man? 90% of your time you are blaming, begging, father, and going through the elders. No, that must stop. Our schools, and we are very happy by Ministry of Education, Mama is leading this process with us of making sure competency learning curriculum is being embedded in the educational system. But unfortunately, the budget has been refused in the parliament
Milton,
to activate it to the university.
Milton, in your opinion, what do you think the government or other stakeholders
Yes, please.
That are empowering the young people need to do to help today's generation? Looking at the civil society, looking at non-government organizations, even the private sector players today who are employing these young people in these employment spaces, and those, okay, even the society, what in your opinion needs to be done?
Government, a reflection of a type of government is a society. If a society doesn't think, the government will not think.
Okay.
Now, my answer is, deliberate effort must be done by all ministries, not just there is who's the new minister. I congratulate you, brother. We have now a new minister, Balaam Gahara. We don't call him Savivul. It is constitutionally not right. Baru Gahara, honorable, welcome, and I congratulate you. No, not only him, all ministries must align all their priorities on younger people. Okay. That is number one. Two, we must bring the nurturing grounds for younger people. The National Youth Service must come in place.
Milton, in your parting shots as well.
My parting shot is that everybody must believe that the future of the country belongs to young people. So investing in them, innovating them, inspiring them, and organizing them is the key priority of everybody. Kings, where are you? The clan leaders, where are you? Civil society, the private sector, where are you? The government. So in the end, is that it is our responsibility as young people to know that if we are talking about problems of the country, corruption, what, it is us. It's because we are doing it that Uganda is doing it. So if younger people end the drinking, but go into innovation, our dependency syndrome of Uganda will end. Because you cannot say 80% of Uganda's population are young people. And you start saying, government is corrupt. These are the younger people you're talking about. Cabinet is younger people. Parliament is younger people. Pastors are younger people. The bishops are all younger people. So stop that kind of myopic talking and focus on transforming yourself first before you blame another one. Because Uganda has everything it takes to become a superpower and even rule USA, Britain, everybody, because nature, no one has a better country than us. The best fertile soils, freshwater systems, climate is very, very enabling. Our culture is deep-rooted in Ubuntu. So what are you talking about? Whom do you blame? Even God will punish you for giving you Uganda, and you failed to be a strong and rich man of character, but also of witness.
Thank you very much, Milton, and many thanks for your time. Milton Kambura, Global Peace Ambassador. He has been with us here as we are talking matters empowering the young people and building conversations on peace building, as well as trying to see how we can put the youth in the right positions of transforming the entire country. And this has been our GMU agenda this morning. For the viewers, thank you very much for your comments, and the conversation does continue online. I can see many of you are sending in your opinions and views of the same issue that we have, but we can empower ourselves as the young people and kickstart off this wonderful journey. Coming up is the GMU Sports with Ruben Pima. Stick around. Good morning.
Stephanie Ford, and over
different operations to crack down the errant security guards. Police arrested some officers, also revoking 7 licenses and suspending 20 from the operation. Now, police also accuses the private security companies of manipulating police uniforms and those of the army in their activities, as a new curriculum is set to ensure the training and release of qualified private security guards, which has also been released by the Uganda police. Now, meanwhile, the territorial police in Arua also apprehended a 40